Hey everybody, so yeah, for this episode I want to talk about going to Comic-Con and meeting different celebrities and getting drawings done by famous comic artists. The first thing I'm going to show you is I didn't get this from Comic-Con, actually I got this from the Star Wars store. When Daniel Logan came, he was the actor that played the kid Boba Fett in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So I just wanted to show you the thing that I got from him. So, of course, I got his signature on this, but he had already pre-signed Tamura Morrison pictures that he was signing as well for a little bit extra cost, but that was pretty cool to get. And beyond that, I want to show you what I call the Hall of Fame, which is this is all the stuff that this isn't all the autographs that me and my lady have gotten from different Comic-Cons, but this is some of them. And this is one of my favorites. This was actually, I got to meet Val Kilmer couple years back, and this was actually my favorite Val Kilmer movie. It's called Thunderheart. If you haven't watched it, this movie is probably my second favorite movie of all time. I don't know, it's in my top 5 for sure. So you should check it out if you've never seen this movie. It's called Thunderheart. It's basically about he's an FBI agent. He goes to the Indian reservations and has to deal with the fact that they're trying to dig for oil on the reservations, and the natives are trying to stop him. And some of the natives are in on it because they're getting paid and blah, 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 so on and so forth. But that was pretty cool to actually meet Val. And he was very grateful because most people try to talk to him about other movies like Tombstone and whatnot. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. Got the certificate of authenticity and blah, blah, blah. And this time I didn't get their autographs, but I got to meet a few of the guys from Battlestar Galactica, but I only had enough money at the time to get my picture taken with a couple of them. So that was pretty funny. And I've actually met Peter Mayhew a couple of times, and he's the actor that played Chewbacca. Of course, most of you that are Star Wars fans know that. And I got to meet Elvira, and that was pretty sweet. And my lady, she's a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, so she got to meet this gal here, Elijah Dushku. No, that's what her name is, yeah. And then this is actually an autograph that I ordered online because this was about when Rogue One was about to come out. Nobody had ever seen any Star Wars movies outside of the actual trilogies. And so I got it for pretty cheap, actually, but it came with a certificate of authenticity. I don't know if it's really legit, but it says it's legit, so I was happy to get it for I don't know, I probably got this thing for like $20-$30, something like that. But this was really cool because this was about the time Cobra Kai was coming out. So all the guys from the Cobra Kai show were there. So it was the sensei, and Ralph Macchio, and William Zabka. And so I chose these different photos for particular reasons, but they were the best looking ones. But I got this is my Ralph Macchio autograph, and I got this one because it had this guy's autograph on it, and apparently I think this is the guy that just died of cancer. So he's no longer with us. So it was pretty cool to get his autograph, but Ralph Macchio had that with him while he was at the show. And then here back to more of my lady's stuff. She got to meet James Marsters from Buffy. So that was pretty cool. And then got the guy from the League, if you've ever watched The League. This guy was doing stand-up in our hometown. So Steve Ranazizi, yeah, however you say that. That was pretty cool. And then lastly, I got to meet Christopher Lloyd. He wasn't too personable at the time, but, of course, everybody knows Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future 2. I was hoping to get this poster signed by a couple of the other actors because the rest of the actors were there this year at Emerald City Comic Con. So that would be pretty sweet to get everybody to sign this, but it didn't happen. And then there's another part of the collection. This is actually stuff that I collected for my father, but my parents moved in an RV, so they can't really store the stuff anymore. But I've got the guy Battlestar Galactica, and I was able to meet Leonard Nimoy before he passed away, and Marlena Mooney. Actually, the first Star Trek autograph I ever got from my father was this one from Marlena Mooney, and it was in 2006. And I just happened to be in New York at the time, and they were having the New York Comic Con, and she was there. And this is what got me on the kick of getting Star Trek autographs from my father. So I got this autograph for him. And then years later, before he died, I was able to get Leonard Nimoy, so that was pretty sweet. And then this is actually the only autograph that my father was with me to get, is when we met the original Chekhov. I'm not quite sure what his name is. Sorry about that. But yeah, so he was with me when we got this. That was pretty sweet. And then we got the original Uhura. We got her autograph. And then we got a little bit of Next Generation. I got this gal. We got Data. And then back to the original, we got William Shatner. He was pretty drunk when we met him. It was pretty funny. He was just super red faced. He was nice, but at the same time, we were trying to meet him and talk to him. We had weird reporters come up, and I'm like, yeah. So maybe we couldn't have a conversation with her. Back to Next Generation, we got the Doctor here. That was pretty cool. I met Deanna Troi. So that's kind of the end of the Star Trek autographs. Let's go on to further but Comic-Con happenings. And one of my favorite things to get at Comic-Cons is original comic book art. And I have a whole book, like a whole sketchbook full of original comic book art, which I'll show in another episode. Some of it's a little racy, but some of it not so much. But yeah, so one of the other episodes I'll bust out the sketchbook. But one of the other things I want to show you is some of the original sketches that I got for Comic-Con. Sorry about that. Well, these for one. We'll start with these. So this was at the height of... Okay, at one point, DC Comic Books was about to go bankrupt. They didn't know what to do, but they busted out a storyline that basically saved their butts, which was called The Blackest Night. And it was through the Green Lantern series. And it was essentially like... Okay, they started busting out different colors for the different lanterns. And then they came down to the Black Lanterns. And the Black Lanterns were basically zombies. So it was like, height of, Walking Dead was coming out. Everything was, everybody's going nuts about zombies. And so DC Comics came out with The Blackest Night, which they had been building up to for like many years prior to this. And it really saved their butts because, yeah, like I said before, they were going bankrupt. They didn't know what to do. And then they came out with this storyline and it basically saved their ass. And it was The Blackest Night. So the main artist for the Green Lantern at the time was Doug Mahnke. And I was actually able to get a drawing from him at a time when he was only doing 5 drawings for the whole Comic-Con. This was Emerald City Comic-Con again. And he was doing 5 drawings for the whole con, like the whole weekend. And I was able to get into his line. And this is another funny story where I was able to finagle myself into another line next to another more famous guy, which was Jeff Johns. And Jeff Johns was the writer of Green Lantern at the time. And he was like writing The Blackest Night. And it was a big deal. And there was like thousands of people lined up to get in his line. But I wanted to get a drawing from Doug Mahnke because he was the artist for the Green Lantern. So I got in his line. And as it turned out, I was the second person in his line. And he was sitting right next to Jeff Johns. So as it worked out, I was able to sign up for a drawing from him. And at the same time, as all these people are waiting in line to get an autograph from Jeff Johns, I had a set of my Blackest Night comic books with me, which maybe I'll show in a different video. But so I signed up for the Doug Mahnke drawing, which was only 1 in 5, essentially for the whole Comic-Con. And then since I was already at the beginning of the line, Jeff Johns had just walked up, and I was the very first person because I'd already just talked to Doug, and Jeff came up. And there's all these people waiting for him. And I was like, oh, Jeff, I've got all these comic books I want to have you sign, but I can't get in that line. I was just in this line. So I was the first person to get all these Jeff Johns signatures on my Blackest Night comic books, so which is pretty sweet. But the real gold was that I got this Doug Mahnke drawing. And so I had him, all he was drawing is Green Lantern characters. So I got him to draw the Green Lantern and Star Sapphire for me. So that was pretty awesome. I mean, at the time, Green Lantern was my gig. Like, I loved it. Like, I still have a whole long box of just Green Lantern comic books. So that was pretty awesome to get. But beyond that, yeah, so Comic-Cons are sweet for getting, like, original comic book art from these crazy artists that they've been, in the comic book industry for years. They do amazing work. And yeah, and you could get them to do personalized stuff for you. Like, just you can ask them whatever you want and they'll give you drawings of it. And so, of course, as most of you know, well, if you do know, it's like one of my main characters has been the Black Cat. So one of the bigger artists, not one of the bigger, I guess he's kind of a bigger artist in comic books, is Ron Randall. And so I got a Ron Randall original, and that's this one here of the Black Cat. So I was pretty excited to get that because this guy does amazing work. I mean, that's an original thing. Like, I'm the only person that owns this drawing. And it's crazy. He put all the skyscrapers in the background and all that. But other than that, so before, no, not before, but so another thing I got was this. I forget this artist's name. It was a lady. She was awesome, and I think she's Eric Basildula's girlfriend. I mean, not quite 100% right now, but pretty sure she's Eric Basildula's girlfriend. He was one of the big artists on the Witchblade. If any of you guys remember the Witchblade. But yeah, and then some other Black Cat stuff. I got Steve something. I forget this guy's name. I wasn't 100% like super stoked about this one because the face is a little off, but it's kind of cool. You know, it's Black Cat. It's an original. And then another artist I got from original firm for Black Cat was this lady. She does more anime stuff. Not quite sure of her name either, but you can kind of see it a little bit. If you know who this is, maybe you could correct me. Blah, blah, and so forth. And I got another original Black Cat drawing from just another random artist. And here's another one. This one was pretty cool, actually. Like, I had this girl and her boyfriend do me some drawings, and hers ended up a little bit better than boyfriend. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong about which happening I'm talking about currently, but it happens. But this one I was super excited to get because this is Mark Bagley, and he was a huge comic book artist in Spider-Man in the 90s. And he did a lot of like the Venom stuff that you remember right after Todd McFarlane. So after Todd McFarlane, there was Mark Bagley. And after Mark Bagley was Eric Larson and so on and so forth. But I mean, he didn't do the super sexy Black Cat like he used to do in the 90s. He was just probably simplifying it, whatever else. But still pretty cool to get it. But before the Black Cat, my focus was Lady Death. And Lady Death comic books were just like my thing. I had every single issue. I met Brian Pulido, the creator of Lady Death, multiple times. He basically knows me by name. Maybe he forgets now because it's been a couple of years since I've seen him, but it's pretty cool to get some original art of Lady Death, and that's a lot of that's in my sketchbook that I'll show you on another episode. But one of the cool things that's not in the sketchbook that I got, original Lady Death art-wise, is this one. And if any of you are familiar with the comic book Dawn, this artist is his name is Joseph Michael Linsner, and he was a big time artist in the late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, he had a comic book called Dawn, and you know, this is kind of similar to that art, but that was pretty cool. This is in a Lady Death Coffin Comics cover art edition, All Hallows Evil, and it's limited. There was only 100 copies of this comic book made, and this is number 46. But I have an original drawing by Joseph Michael Linsner on this issue. So that's pretty sweet. And then, as well as when I was super getting into this original comic book art, I met a few amazing artists at Emerald City Comic Con. And I met this guy. His name is Amano Jaeku. And so I commissioned him to do me this original art of Lady Death for me, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, and of course he was charging a couple $100 at the time, but he ended up making actual prints out of this drawing that he did for me. And they're a little different than the actual print that I have. This is the original. So he drew and then inked it. So that was pretty cool. And then the finished product, which he was selling prints of, is this. But for mine especially, he did a little specialty tombstone there. It's got my name on it, so that was pretty cool. I mean, I like most of it. I'm crazy about the platform heels, but so it's pretty funny. But yeah, so yeah, just wanted to show you a little bit of that, and I'll show you a little bit more later, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.